So Erlang, and there's no way I'm going to get through this. Erlang is a programming language. It's just different. It's not even new. It's about 20 years old, give or take. It comes from Ericsson. It was designed to meet telecom industry needs, so it needs to be up all the time because we want our phones to work all the time. And they need to handle lots and lots of simultaneous things, connections, phone calls. So clearly concurrency is a big issue for them. And it's come, back in the 80s, they've got plenty of libraries. In the past, maybe 10 years, not even, the interest has been growing outside the telecom industry. Some people who are Ruby people have sort of been moving in this direction, and we'll get to why. Part of the problem is that hardware is changing. We're getting more processors, more cores being put into a smaller space, so we need concurrency. And if you've ever done concurrent programming with threads, it really sucks. It's hard. It's prone to bugs. It's hard to debug, and I can go on. And even then, the threading that is there isn't always well supported in the language. Sometimes it's bolted on after the language has been really defined. So we've got all this hardware, and increasingly, we're not using it to its full potential. So Erlang, even though it was designed 20 years ago, happens to meet some of these needs. Just some applications. You've all heard of CouchDB. Dan will be talking about that tomorrow, I think. eJabberty, some of you have probably heard of it. Early Web and Yaws. It's a web framework, so Erlang has them. They're there. It's not completely out of the picture. RabbitMQ is just, you probably have never heard of that, but it's a pretty spiffy piece of enterprise software. That's benefits. Message passing concurrency. So Erlang does concurrency, but it doesn't do threads. Each concurrent stream of execution is completely separated from all the others. So there's no shared memory, so you're not going to get corruption, and it passes messages back and forth. So all of the threaded evilness pretty much goes away. And you get clean separation between concurrent threads of execution, which, again, if you've done concurrent programming, this is fantastic. Another really nice thing is hot code updates, which means I type make, it puts the code in there, and I can load it in at runtime without bringing my server down. So, and that goes back to the telecom industry's need to do as much without taking things down. And that's really great in your production system, but I found it's really nice in my development stuff too. It's a functional language. I don't know how many of you are familiar with what that actually means, but and I'm not going to try and get into it now. It's just a little too complicated, honestly. But thankfully, it's not object-oriented. Not everything is a noun. So, but functional is about making declarations between relationships of things rather than saying do this, do this, do this. Here's some code. Again, peer pressure made me put this in here. I thought it might be a little useless for people. So I created some mark handling code. Here's a get field, which you give it a tag and a record, and it pulls the first field matching that tag out of the record. Again, I can't go into all the details of all those bits. And then you have the title, which uses get field to pull out a specific one. And this stuff I actually pulled. It copies the mark.pm interface pretty closely, what I wrote. So here's some of the concurrency stuff, and this goes down the screen a bit, but I did this as quick as I could. The spawn link about 5 lines down, that just sets off a new thread, a new process to parse records, and then you send a message with reg name with that bang, and then you receive a message back, and I'm done.